Buying a pistol on a budget feels like gambling with your own safety. I've been that guy standing in a shop, wallet sweating, salesman promising the world. Half those Best Buy picks, they never made it past the second range trip. Some so-called bargains rattle and jam the first time out. Pieces popping loose when you least expect it. Then a plain, no-name pistol ends up running smoother than the ones everyone brags about. Makes you wonder who's telling the truth anymore. But this year, something changed. There's a handful of pistols quietly rewriting the rules. I didn't want to believe it until these guns started eating dirty ammo, taking abuse and coming back for more. Most shooters won't say it out loud. Sometimes the cheap pick really does outshoot the big-ticket favorite. Stick around. The one pistol that flipped my expectations is somewhere on this list. Miss it, and you might regret your next buy. Last November, I dragged my buddy into G&G. He's low on cash, wants a pistol that won't leave him stranded. Sales guys are busy pitching the latest polymer, talking up rebates and shiny slides. I catch sight of a Ruger Security 9 tucked behind the counter. Just sitting there, ignored. Nobody's flexing about it. Nobody's putting it in Instagram stories. I nudge my buddy. You see that one? That's the gun regular folks keep buying when nobody's looking. He's skeptical. Even the salesman gives a half-hearted shrug. But here's what most people miss. The Security 9 is basic, blue collar. It just works. Gun shops can't keep them stocked, but you never see them on billboards or YouTube ads. It's not hype, it's word of mouth and folks coming back for a second one. He gave it a shot, felt the trigger, ran a box through it, and you could see it click. Next thing you know, he's grinning. Security 9 isn't the hero of anyone's gun collection, but the real surprise, it's the one quietly running up the sales while everybody else is chasing trends. We're at the range. Saturday morning, regular crowd showing off. One old-timer's running his Glock, cracking jokes about all the cheap clones popping up. Then a younger guy rolls in, drops a PSA Dagger compact on the bench, still in the cardboard box. The old guy snorts, "What's that, a mailbox special?" Even I didn't say much. Dagger's reputation was still just whispers. The kid loads it, runs through 3 mags back to back. Not a hiccup, not even a lazy stovepipe. Brass flies, target chews up, and suddenly nobody's laughing. The Glock guy leans over, wants a turn, ends up grumbling about must have been luck. A couple more shooters crowd around, all wanting to see if it'll choke. It just keeps running. That's when it hits. Half the bench is now talking Dagger, swapping stories about where to find one. Shop owner tells me he can't keep them in stock. Says guys come in looking for Glocks and leave with a Dagger. And he's never seen a clone take over the way this one has. Thing is, everyone loves an underdog until it starts making the big names nervous. And if you think this one got people talking, wait till you see what happened when the next pistol hit the table. No warning, no warm-up. I'm halfway through a box of ammo before I realize I haven't cursed once. The Canik TP9 Elite SC wasn't on my radar. It's the pistol you toss in your range bag as an afterthought, right? Not tonight. Out of nowhere, I'm punching out bullseyes and the trigger feels sharper than some twice the price. It's a weird feeling. Waiting for something to go wrong, but it never does. Slide snaps, resets quick, and I keep waiting for the letdown that just doesn't come. This isn't good for the money, it's just good. You want to know why it shocked the market? Guys who swore off Turkish pistols are trading in their carry guns for this. Gun shops can't keep them shelved. And every time a Canik sells out, some big brand loses sleep. No crowd, no hype, just a compact Turkish underdog doing laps around the supposed champions, and nobody saw it coming. Not even me. Think you know which pistol sets the new bar? The next one had people at the range dropping their own favorites, just to get a feel. I never thought I'd hear my favorite pistol's name echoing in headlines at the start of 2026. Shield Plus has always been my pick. Reliable, disappears under a t-shirt, eats any ammo I feed it. But this year, it turned into something bigger. Right after the new model hit the shelves, word spread like wildfire. Suddenly, social feeds light up, and every dealer in town's got a line out the door. Dealers were losing their minds. Calls coming in before the doors even unlocked, folks showing up at sunrise, and by noon, every case was empty. I heard stories of lines wrapped twice around buildings, people driving hours just for a shot at one. It got so crazy, there was talk, at least locally, of lawmakers stepping in before the next shipment even landed. I've always trusted the Shield Plus, but seeing politicians step in because demand exploded, that's a whole new level. It's a strange kind of pride, knowing your pick is suddenly everyone's target. But if the Shield Plus can pull that much chaos out of the gate, the next pistol in line, that's where things start to get unpredictable. By late spring last year, something felt off. Taurus GX4 carries weren't showing up in used cases anymore. No discounts, no clearance tags. They were just gone. Dealers kept giving the same answer. They don't last. That's when I remembered the first time I handled one. I was killing time in a gun shop, waiting on paperwork. No intention of buying anything. Picked up the GX4 out of habit, not hope. The last Taurus I'd touched felt like a toy, left in a hot car too long, so I nearly put this one right back down. But the grip stopped me, balanced, solid, no rattle. I dry fired it at the floor, half expecting that old Taurus slop, and it never showed up. Trigger had weight, reset felt clean. Before I realized it, I was actually paying attention. Maybe Taurus figured something out while nobody was watching. The shop owner caught my look and nodded. "Can't keep those on the shelf," he said. Didn't believe it myself. Now, regulars keep asking when more are coming in. No hype, no fanfare, just quiet sales. I put it back on the glass and walked out, but it followed me to the parking lot. Taurus, of all brands. Didn't see that coming. One gun wasn't on anybody's radar, not in the forums, not at the counters, not even in the Dallas shops I drifted through last year. I walked into 3 different stores around Fort Worth the week after Black Friday, expecting the usual suspects to be sold out. But every counter guy was shaking his head, muttering the same thing. "Can't keep a CZP-10C in the case. They're gone before lunch." I honestly thought they were messing with me. It wasn't on sale, wasn't the star of any ad, just quietly cleaned out store after store. One guy in Dallas showed me a waiting list 3 pages long, said he'd never seen a CZ move like this. Another dealer in Fort Worth laughed and said, "We all stocked up on Glocks. Turns out folks wanted the check instead." I finally tracked one down. Shot it on a whim, expecting the usual. Nope. Flat shooter, clean break, runs like it's been doing this for years. Sometimes a gun doesn't need hype to take over. It just needs one good weekend and a line out the door. And if you think that's odd, the next pistol had even the old-timers double-checking the label. A buddy of mine who works in the industry pulled me aside last month, said, "Watch what happens with the Ruger RXM this season." Turns out some distributors are playing games, sitting on stock, not because anything's wrong, but waiting for the Christmas and New Year panic buys. They want a feeding frenzy, not an official recall, and not a supply chain glitch. Just pure market manipulation. I started making calls, poking around. Shelves are empty, nobody's got one, and every answer sounds rehearsed. Should be here next week. Check back after the holidays. What made it stranger was hearing the exact same wording from 3 different shops. It's not just my local place either. Word is, this is happening everywhere. All so they can drive up demand and squeeze every penny out of folks desperate to grab something before the next rush. Honestly, it ticks me off. This isn't about quality, it's about squeezing shooters. Mark my words. This will keep rolling through January. And until someone calls it out, regular folks are the ones paying the price. Sometimes it's not the pistol that shocks the market. It's the people behind the counter pulling the strings. This one didn't come from the usual shop chatter or internet hype. I heard about the Stoeger STR-9 Combat from my buddy Mike, a fellow YouTuber who's not known for blowing smoke. Last year, he called me out of the blue and said, "You need to get your hands on the sleeper hit of 2025. Forget what you think you know about budget pistols. This thing's beating out guns twice the price." I was skeptical. Turkish imports are everywhere, and most vanish without a trace. But Mike's got an eye for underdogs, so I tracked one down, expecting just another flash-in-the-pan budget blaster. Right away, something felt off, in a good way. Slide rack smooth. Grip fits like it was made to measure. And even the trigger's got a crisp break I didn't see coming. Ran through dry fire and couldn't help but nod. This isn't a cheap knockoff. It's the real deal. Sometimes the best gun in the case isn't the one everyone's fighting over. It's the one the insiders are quietly passing around and smiling about. Mike was right. The STR-9 Combat is the one they'll regret sleeping on. But just when I thought I'd found this year's biggest upset, another pistol landed on my desk and flipped the whole script. Industry veterans included. Everywhere I looked online last year, the Mossberg MC2C was getting hyped like it was the second coming. Banner ads, sponsored videos, forums packed with guys calling it a Glock killer. The buzz was loud, constant, and impossible to ignore. One of my buddies, never one to miss a trend, jumped on it quick, paid top dollar, and strutted around like he'd beaten the system. A week later, the tune changed. He brought it out to the range with all the confidence in the world, but the gun just didn't deliver. Trigger was nothing special, cycling felt stiff, and by the third mag, he was already second-guessing every dollar. No catastrophic failures, but nothing to write home about either. That grin faded fast. Pretty soon, I started noticing something. The MC2C that was all over my feeds started popping up in trade-in cases and sitting unsold on consignment shelves. Dealers didn't brag about new stock. The online noise just faded out, replaced by a quiet, disappointed shrug. From everyone who fell for the hype, sometimes the market shocks you by falling flat. Not every budget pistol earns its buzz. Some just burn out before anyone gets their money's worth. Word started floating around Texas earlier this year. Someone heard a batch of Tisas PX-9 compacts was getting quietly recalled. No emails, no headlines, nothing official. But walk into the right gun shops and you'll notice the shelf where those pistols used to sit is just empty. No discount tags, no returns, just gone. You ask about it and get shrugs, nervous jokes, sometimes a quick, "We're waiting on new stock." But the story never lines up twice. I tried to track one down myself. Places that used to have a pile suddenly swore they never did. Friends called their shops and got the same cold shoulder. Maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it was something more. But overnight, the PX-9 Compact just disappeared from circulation like it was never supposed to be there in the first place. It's not every day a pistol spooks the market by vanishing. Turns out, the real shock isn't always about what's missing. Sometimes it's the gun nobody expects to survive the storm that ends up front and center. The bonus pick, that one rewrote the whole ending. I'll be honest, the SAR-9 Gen 3 showed up almost as a joke. A buddy scored one in a mystery box auction, expecting pure disappointment. We unboxed it in the back of his truck, half of the group already lining up one-liners about Turkish plastic. First impression, the case looked like it belonged to a power drill, but the real surprise hit after. We let the shop's youngest kid, barely old enough to shave, take the first mag, expecting him to limp wrist a jam. Instead, he runs through it flawless, then spins around grinning like he just outshot his dad. Next thing you know, everyone's swapping in and out. One old guy double taps a plate rack clean, and someone else tries to limp it with a left hand just to break the rhythm. It keeps going. Weirdest part? It's the only pistol all day nobody managed to jam or lose a spring on, not even the usual troublemakers. When a budget gun turns a crowd from mockery to genuine respect before lunch is over, that's more than a fluke. SAR 9S start leaving the shelf in quiet 2s and 3s. No fanfare, just satisfied nods. But even this curveball didn't prep me for the chaos that came when Glock's little wild card finally hit the table. There's a rumor that started making the rounds not long ago. One of those stories nobody can confirm, but everybody wants to talk about. Word is, a Glock 42 had a rare malfunction. Serious enough that the owner lawyered up and took it straight to the top. Supposedly, the settlement hit 7 figures, and the paperwork's sealed tighter than a vault. No headlines, no news stories, just whispers between gun counters and range tables. What's wild is, instead of scaring folks off, it did the opposite. Suddenly, every collector, every Glock fan started chasing down the 42 like it was a golden ticket. I've seen shops paying above retail just to get one in, and guys at the range offering cash for a used pistol, convinced the bad batch might be the most valuable of all. Nobody's ever seen one fail, but everyone acts like the legend alone turned it into a must-have. Makes you wonder, did the gun get hot because it's rare or because nobody really knows the truth? But the biggest shock isn't in the trigger pull. It's in the stories people are willing to believe. There's nothing easy about picking a budget gun. I've walked away with winners and with regrets that sting years later. Sometimes the piece you trust lets you down when it matters most. Sometimes the one you almost left behind outlasts them all. Price tags and brands, wait, none of it means a thing if your pistol doesn't run when it counts. But here's what really gets me. Some of these pistols didn't just shock me. They turned the market upside down. When a gun nobody expects starts outselling the legends, you know something real is happening. A few on this list surprised me. A few made me eat my own words. If a budget pistol surprised you, or left you wishing you'd never seen it, drop your story below. I read every one, even the ones that still sting. I'm Steve. Stay sharp. I'll see you next time.